You use the words less and fewer when you talk about a smaller number of something. But when is the correct time to use less, and when do you use fewer instead? I'm Gordon Morse, your natural English coach, and I'm here to help. You are probably familiar with the English words less and fewer. However, it might surprise you to learn that a great number of native English speakers, people who have spoken English their whole lives, often use less and fewer incorrectly every single day. Why does that happen? What's the secret difference between them? We know that we use less and fewer when we talk about a smaller number of something. But when do you use less and when do you use fewer? I'll give you a few examples of each. See if you can figure out the rule. There are fewer people at the park today than there were yesterday. You should use less water to cook that rice. I have fewer ideas than he does. You should ask him. I fell asleep at work, and now I have less time to finish the project. Did you figure out the rule? It's still pretty difficult to tell. Let's figure it out by looking at only the word and the following noun that it modifies. From the first sentence, fewer people. From the second sentence, less water. From the third, fewer ideas. From the last, less time. Now, because these are all nouns, they normally require an article in front of them. A, an, or the. Fewer and less replace these articles in these sentences. Let's check these nouns by trying to put the singular a in front of each, and adjusting the noun from singular to plural if need be. A person, a water, an idea, a time. Which of those sound correct to you and which sound a little bit off? Obviously, there are times, often in casual conversation, when you will hear someone say, "Give me a water," or "I had a time." The first one is short speak for "give me a bottle of water," or whatever other container the water is in. The second is a casual way of expressing that you had a bad experience. Often it means "I had a rough time" or "a terrible time," but it's casually shortened to just "a time," and context helps the listener understand. However, in regular English grammar, a water and a time are not correct. Why? Hopefully you know by now. It's because they are uncountable nouns, or non-count, as some textbooks call them. Liquids like water, milk, gasoline, tiny objects like rice, sand, flour, and non-physical concepts like time, patience, or energy are all uncountable. Instead of a, we generally use some. And if we want to talk about a smaller amount, we use less. Any larger objects that are easily distinct from one another, like people, apples, buildings, cards, even ideas, are all countable nouns. We use fewer with these nouns instead of less. So why is a non-physical concept, like an idea, countable, while time or energy is uncountable? Unfortunately, there's no easy or clear answer. We talk about ideas like separate things. One idea, two ideas, several ideas, more ideas, or fewer ideas. If we write our ideas on cards, you can count the cards. Time can be separated into hours, minutes, seconds, all of which can be counted. But We often imagine time itself as something that flows, kind of like a river. Maybe you'll come up with your own answers as to why time and other big concepts are uncountable and impress people with your philosophy. But for now, it's good enough just to know what English nouns use fewer and which use less. Let's have some practice time. Here are a few sentences that need less or fewer added to them. Complete the sentences yourself by saying them aloud. Number 1. There are bugs out there than there were yesterday. Number 2. I have patience for his attitude than I used to. Number 3. This recipe calls for sugar and eggs than the other one. Number 4. Daylight savings time means there are hours of sunlight in the evening. It feels like I have time to work. Number 5. I have worries about the plan tomorrow since we checked over everything today. Do you think you got all of them correct? Here are the answers. Number 1. There are fewer bugs out there than there were yesterday. Number 2. I have less patience for his attitude than I used to. Number 3. This recipe calls for less sugar and fewer eggs than the other one. Number 4. Daylight savings time means there are fewer hours of sunlight in the evening. It feels like I have less time to work. Number 5. I have fewer worries about the plan tomorrow since we checked over everything today. Like I said at the beginning of this video, less and fewer are two words that many native English speakers use incorrectly all the time. Now that you've learned about them, you might start to notice it in more conversations. They might even think that you're the one making the mistake, because they don't actually know the rule. But that's how language changes and evolves. Can you think of similar examples in your native language that many speakers say incorrectly without knowing it? If you have any questions about today's topic, or want me to make a video about another tricky part of English conversation, leave a comment below. Also, if you're interested in getting a totally free natural English assessment from me, follow the link to the right. I'll see you next time for another lesson.